Good evening, everybody. Those of you who are coming on live with us tonight, we are recording for tomorrow's release of Monday Morning Catholic. So hang in there. Anything can happen when we're live. If we're ready, we will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Yes. Then we'll begin.
There have been a lot of storms bantering us Catholics about this week, and we're going to try to get to as many of them as we can. This is Monday Morning Catholic Podcast number 77.
6:30 Monday morning, I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. Somewhere in the distance,
Let me tell you, after this week, I've wanted to cover up my head a few times. It's just been one of those weeks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier. And again, 2 of the 3 are here this week. So come on down. Linda Reed from St. Thomas in Providence, Rhode Island. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. After a lovely Father's Day celebration yesterday.
Good. Hasn't just this been an awful week of up and...
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I know. But for the last time, from Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish in Bristol, Rhode Island, Steve Romano. Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. We had a nice Father's Day. Took both dads out to dinner.
Nice.
Oh, great.
Lunch.
Okay. Yeah, my father-in-law was here as well, so we spent some time with him. It's been really nice to do that. And it was a very quiet yet rainy day here in the northeast, since we had got
the sun. The sun did come out, though.
It did. Finally, at least for everybody to start, flipping the burgers late in the day. But that's okay. It's been a stormy week, literally and figuratively. And I can tell you right now, I'm not quite sure what to get to first.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we have a lineup that allows us to actually put it into some perspective. But yikes. How was your this was your last full weekend, right, Stephen?
Correct.
Nice.
It was very nice. Lots of well wishes from people. The people clapped for me. That always makes me feel good.
We like
sports.
Even though there are some people who don't like clapping in church, and I'm really sorry if you're one of them. But in order to appreciate 15 years of heart in one place, I'll take the clapping.
Did I mention last week that the choir got me beautiful piano keyboard cufflinks?
You put it on Facebook, but I'm not sure you mentioned it here.
Yeah,
right.
they're really cool. I told them I was going to wear them next Saturday night because that's my swan song,
attractive.
Last Hurrah.
Oh.
So you're one of the few men in this world that still has the shirts with the cufflinks then.
I wouldn't go that far. I have like 2 shirts that have cufflinks.
Okay. So does my husband. Still has it. So not very many.
That was very sweet of them. They're really nice. That made my Sunday last Sunday. They gave it to me and they gave me a nice card. They all signed it.
They're attractive.
In it.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah,
I saw the picture
they're really
of them.
nice.
Yeah.
They don't look like they came from ye old music.
Yeah.
I believe it's called Cufflink Inc. It's a website.
So those have got.
So I checked it out, and they have all kinds of cufflinks that you can.
Nice.
I think I might order myself something else too, so I like them. So no, but I think I have 2 shirts, but other than I'm not that fancy.
Yeah.
So
that's
it was fine.
very few men wear the cufflinks anymore, and I know Kevin still has one or two shirts that cufflinks with on a special occasion. But there's so much casualness in dress anymore.
Well, you know,
Now
going
there's
ahead
a
to what
feed-in, if I ever heard
Yeah.
one.
I grew up in an Italian house, and my grandmother used to inspect me
Yeah.
before I would leave for church.
Oh.
Oh, my mother too. We had to come down and pass an inspection.
Yeah, and so I mean, I've been playing since I was 12, 13 years old. So when it was time to go to church, I'd come down and she would give me the once over.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't dress extravagantly for serving as as organist for mass, but I do dress up.
Yes.
But
Well,
I would never wear shorts or jeans on a Sunday, or for rehearsal that's different.
Yeah.
But for for mass, no.
well, back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
When I was a music director on Sunday, I had like maybe 7 or 8 suits.
Yeah.
Whether they were suits or whether they were full skirt suits. And I would rotate them because I just felt that in my position, I'm up front, everybody can see me.
Yep.
I need to lead the charge. And plus, up front, my choirs, most of them had robes. So
Mine don't.
yeah, so you could hide a multitude of sins under those robes.
So I had to lay down laws, and I had to send 1 or 2 people back to the pew because they didn't pay attention to the dress rules, and I had to say, I can't have you standing up in front of the assembly looking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always a tough thing, and the parish I'm in and the parish I'm going to, we're in the choir loft, and for some reason, some people think that gives you that gives you the allowance to wear whatever you want, and I always say Jesus might not care what you're wearing, but I do.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good one.
I mean, it's and over the years, I've had people come in sweatpants and sneakers and flip flops and but you know what? It was one of those things where it was a battle that sometimes I fought and sometimes I just let it go. So.
Well, you can tell that we want to jump into this topic right away, but
yes, but we'll hold it until it's time.
There.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, we could just spend the entire 60 minutes talking about the one topic.
Yes, we could.
Get to the other stuff that we do, but we do come here to talk about that type of stuff, but we really, when we first started this whole thing, came here to talk about the previous weekend's liturgies and making sense of the scriptures and the homilies that we've heard. I had a pastor used to say, now that I've said all this, you can go to your breakfast and chew on it for a few minutes. So you know who I'm talking about. So, but we also talk about ritual and church music and technology and current events, and believe me, there are many. And we are going to try to give you a splattering of all that, including what we started talking about at the top of the show. But we are going to try to get to, because we do have a little bit of feedback, so please grab your favorite beverage, and of course it's water. Again, because I won't drink this early in the morning. Let's not even go there. Let's rewind. And come along with us. We are going to start with some feedback that we've heard from.
How does it look from your side? How does it look from where you
And we've heard again from our friend in Yakima, Washington. John in Yakima, Washington sent us copies of Cardinal George's Memorial Mass. Okay, now, John, we appreciate you sending us 4 copies. The problem is I sometimes don't see them. But they do have a copy of it because of the magic, and I'll, take 2 seconds of technology, the magic of an app called Scannable. Okay, and Scannable is an app that belongs in the Evernote family. And basically, it's just as good. It takes the picture, it makes it into a PDF, and then you can send it, or you can put it in Evernote, or you can do all that kinds of stuff. So I was able to get this to them so that they could take a look at it.
And we have it. Yay!
We all have a copy of it. We appreciate getting stuff like this, John, because and everybody else, because we, of course, we're all musicians here, whether at heart like me or working musicians as the two of them and Nancy. And so we like to see what everybody else is doing, so we can say, oh yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
Why would they pick that? But in this case, understanding that it's a memorial mass, and this was somebody, you know, the cathedral family would probably still remember what the cardinal probably preferred when he was that he'd like.
Yeah.
So, and it was in the Easter season because it was April 23rd of this year, and they started out with Jesus Christ, our sovereign King.
Yep.
You know, they used the De Bruyn Mass of the Resurrection for the Gloria. I have never heard this one. Have you guys heard this at all?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I've played through it because it's one of the mass settings that I ordered. It's supposed to be based on the hymn tune. I think the hymn tune Duke Street.
Oh, favorite. That's one of my favorite hymn tunes.
But it's very loosely. I mean, it's not like it's. You have to look at the inner, the. Right. It's not obvious.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, yeah. The opening two measures is basically the "I know that my Redeemer lives."
Right, and then it kind of loses it from there, but then it picks it up certain places, but.
Okay.
I haven't used it at Mass. And
it's funny because I looked at it and I didn't catch that right away, but now that you say it, it's like, oh yeah, that's Duke Street.
Yeah, you know what? I think like in the booklet, in the Octavo booklet, it says it.
Okay.
He said that it was his inspiration was the Duke Street. So.
All right. And then in here, yes, the readings are in here. Now that'd be the first thing I wouldn't put in as a person, but understandably, when you have two languages, you kind of have to have the translation.
Usually, what happens is one is proclaimed in one language,
right,
and put in the booklet in the other language.
Right. So as we can see here, the first reading would have been proclaimed in Spanish.
Yeah, and it's in there in English.
Right, and the psalm was in Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, which is "The Lord is my shepherd." So, and it was Ron Krisman's arranged.
Yeah.
So I have no. It was a Guimont. It's a Guimont. Well, wait a minute. What is this?
It's a Guimont psalm, but Krisman did work on translating.
Okay. All right. That's where
some of the stuff in Gather, the newest edition of Gather. Okay. Krisman did a lot of work on translating the English to Spanish.
Thank you, Linda, for giving us that insider info.
It was a tidbit I picked up in conversation.
There you go. Many conversations with people. Trust me.
Yes.
The Alleluia is your regular.
Sons and daughters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it is. Sorry, I was thinking it was the other one. Sorry.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
It must have been Good Shepherd Sunday, or close to it, because
there's a lot of shepherd stuff.
Preparation.
Yeah, I think it was Joanne. I think so.
We have some Latin for the Lamb of God, which is fine. Gift of Finest Wheat, can't go wrong.
Yep.
And of course, there's your time.
There's your Duke Street.
Diane. And this is the size of worship aid I prefer anymore.
Yeah.
Because Grandma and Aunt Ethel are probably the ones who are really singing.
Be careful about Grandma.
Okay, I'll be good. But I like to make it, when you do an 8.5 by 11 fold, which is what a lot of people do.
Yes.
They don't want to create a thick book.
Yeah.
They just
they make them smaller. Yeah.
They just put the names of everything. And then when they do use it, the type is so small people can't read it.
Yeah.
8.5 by 14, slightly better, but still not. This is 11 by 17 tabloid. Absolute favorite size. Because
wow.
I really think that people can.
That's a big book.
Yeah, but when you do one, I just did one like this for my pastor's 25th. I only needed 3 pages double-sided.
Okay.
Right.
Everything.
Right. And if you have a good printer, like a good printing company, it's easy for them to do it.
Oh, you mean 11 by 17 folded in half?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I did the Lent one. That's how I did the Lent one at our parish. All
right. Yeah, that's what this is. So it ends up being 8.5 by 11. 4 sides of 8.
Oh, okay. No, never mind.
No, that's not what you did.
Nope, that's not what I did.
Okay. But that's the size I like anymore, and it's nice to see that other people are picking up on that. I didn't think we had the corner on it, but I think this is a very nice memorial mass. I think he was their bishop in Yakima. And this is the kind of stuff we like. So if you've got programs like this, don't let John be the only one sending us stuff.
Yes.
Like it does. And we appreciate.
Jump right in.
Jump in and send us some. This is about the only feedback we've had lately. Now I'm not going to cast aspersions on people for not sending feedback, but
yes, she is.
Of course. Just a little bit. We would love to hear from your side of the world. So please send us, you can send this. However, he does send it to my work address. So if you're planning on sending stuff like this, what's better? If you take pictures of it like I do. Like I sent this to them with Scannable. Okay? It was real simple. I think the app is free. You use your phone as the scanner. And then you can send it to mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com and save a tree and some postage. Because it's easier for me to get it to them. Because if I don't, I see Linda, but I forget to bring it to her. Sometimes I see Steve. Sometimes it's 6 months the next time I'll be in his presence probably. Other than.
I hope not, but yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
It could be. So if you could send it to us, mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com, that would be preferred. Scan it, send it, and then I can send it on to them and everybody gets a look at it. If you want to just send us feedback of any other sort, mondaymorningcatholic.net in the comment box is always a good place to put things. You can put it up on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic, where we'll get a few things off that Facebook page in a little while because people were commenting this week. Or you can send it to us on Twitter. At Ritual Diva or at MMCatholic, either one, I'm getting the info. Or but here's my number, so call me, baby. You can call and leave it for us, and we can play it on the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. We'll say it again later. All right, let us move on to. So thank you, John. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Move on to this past weekend's scriptures and homily in what we know as
Do You Hear What I Hear?
Do You Hear What I Hear? For the 12th Sunday in Ordinary Time. All right, this is the bit, Linda had me crying from the first song out this week. I have to say that straight out, only because it is one of my absolute favorite songs going to show up at my funeral. And those people who've known me for a long time know that How Can I Keep From Singing is one of my, I used to sing that constantly.
Yeah.
In the parishes, so it's one of my favorite tunes. But it's all about storms this week. We have the storm in Job 38, where God is addressing Job out of the storm. Now that's got to be freaky. Okay, you're in the middle of a storm and all of a sudden you hear voices. I'm sorry, that's freaky.
That's God.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. But it's, again, we humans who fear a lot of things need to be calmed down and taught that God is in control and we're not. So, again, Job had a very hard life, and if he could have faith like that mustard seed, from last week, then so can we. Psalm 107, as Linda pointed out to us yesterday, only shows up once every 3 years, and it showed up this past weekend.
Yeah.
The Lord, His love is everlasting. That was a junkus that we did, correct?
No, it was not. It was Tony Alonso from his and Marty's Lyric Psalter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a Tony Alonso one. And it was nice. It was easy to pick up. The congregation picked it up really quickly. Sang it really well.
We picked it up like we sang it for years.
Yeah, really. They did. They did a great job with it.
Yeah, I liked it. So that's the Lyric Psalter from.
Yeah, it's Marty Haugen and Tony Alonso.
Okay.
It's the Lyric Psalter. It's all three years ABC. And they have an accompaniment book, cantor book, and then they have smaller booklets for the choir.
Okay. All right, we'll put that up on our honorable mentions for this week.
Yeah.
So that people can know where to go and look for that. The second reading was, again, from 2 Corinthians. This was 5, of course. Whoever is in Christ is a new creation. And whether it had anything to do with the first reading of the gospel, it really didn't. It was just it's
just in there. Yeah.
But again, if we are a new creation, then we should let go of all that fear. Of course, fear is going to be a big thing as we continue talking on this program. And Mark 4, we're continuing in Mark 4 with the storm on the Sea of Galilee.
Yes.
You want to hear a really interesting take on all of this, you go listen to Father Barron.
Yeah.
Go listen to Father Barron. He has some really interesting insight as to why Jesus was asleep. And what we should not be taking away from this gospel that I think some homilists have alluded to over the years. So he's at wordonfire.org. And I'll again put that up in the, or I may just click connect to his homily online so people can hear that. So each of our friends here have a homily, and I was with Linda, so she's got mine. So which of you would like to go first? Ladies first, or?
Nah, go Stephen.
All right, Stephen's last.
Good, because I'm fading, sorry. All right.
But it's Monday morning, Stephen.
I didn't sleep well. The cat kept me up all night.
All right.
It was the homily centered on it was very nice homily, but it centered on Father's Day, and he said, he begged that the ladies in the congregation sort of let him do his thing, because he said most of the time, most of what I'm going to say, the ladies probably will agree with. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he basically said, just kind of let me do my thing, and I'm sure all of you will agree. And he started with a funny story. He said, there was this sloppy kid, and so sloppy that even his dog wouldn't go into his room. So he said, so the father said to him, okay, from now on, every time I pick something up that's yours, I'm going to charge you $1. And I will submit you a bill at the end of the week. So the week goes by, and he submits the kid a bill for $9. So he said the next day, in an envelope, the father received a $10 bill with a note. Thanks for the good work. I gave you $1 tip.
Yes.
So and then he got it was a rather serious homily. He said, the current studies speak consistently of the importance of the role of fathers, and that sometimes men, I think, underestimate their role in the family as fathers. And he said, God gives examples throughout the scriptures of being a father and what a father should be. He said, of course, we start with St. Joseph, Jesus' foster father. And he said, like picture back then, you know, Joseph was a teacher for Jesus. So he said, you know, the fathers are called to be the best of teachers. And he said, interestingly enough, I guess even in the rite of baptism, and Joanne, you would know this better than I would, there's a part of it where it alludes to that, fathers be the best of teachers.
Yeah, it's in the blessing of the parents at the end.
Fathers are the first teachers of their children.
Yes.
May they also be the best of teachers.
Right.
Sadly, I haven't been to too many baptisms. So
we do a lot of baptisms at Mass.
Okay. And then he said, and then he brought up, you know, he said, speaking of Scripture, St. Paul, you know, wrote his advice to husbands: love your wives, you know, don't nag your children, lest they lose heart.
Yeah.
And then he said, right. And then he said, you know, more important. He's like, you know, your children are more important than your job, than sports, the bar down the street.
Especially around here.
He said, you know, dads, pray with your children, teach them wrong from right, let your yes mean your yes, your no mean your no. Live what you say. He said, you know, don't tell your kids to do one thing and then do something else.
That was my.
And then he said, you know, many women today are bringing up their families alone, and he said it's not ideal, but it's, you know, you make it work. He said, but you know, he encouraged any of the kids that maybe are without the father figure to find somebody that they could look up to, you know. And then he talked about his own father, how he was a good example, and then he also mentioned I guess a priest that was at his home parish when he was a kid. He said he just thought he was the greatest thing, you know. So he said, you know, you can't underestimate how sometimes, you know, a younger person will look up to you who needs to have that father figure. So, and that was his homily.
Well, it certainly is needed to be preached.
I'll say.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is needed to be preached. And I bet out there were a lot of gentlemen who decided to go that route. And I can't blame them. Because if they get that opportunity, and the guys, you won't hear that on Mother's Day so much, but you'll hear it more on Father's Day because of our society.
Right. I think on Mother's Day that the thing to do is to preach on Mary. You know? So.
Which makes it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. But that's
right.
Okay.
Right. Well, and you know, since I've been working for a Marian parish for 15 years, it's, you know, sometimes it's all things Mary. You know. So.
Yeah. Now you're going to a parish about a bishop who was pretty notorious before he got converted. This.
Quite appropriate, no?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, actually, it's going to be interesting because I thought of that today. You know, I'm going to a parish that doesn't have a Marian feast in the summer.
Right.
Maybe, you know, and so it's going to be interesting for me because I'm so programmed in, you know, the months of May and October and then July.
Yeah, well,
you know, we program in all the Mary music, and it's, you know, that's fine, but I have to sort of get used to the fact that that's not as crucial as it is at the current parish.
Well,
so
August would be it's the dual feast where you have Monica and Augustine. That's, I believe, the end of August, isn't it?
I don't know. I have to look that up.
The month with an A, and I'm thinking it's August. That is.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay, you should know this because they're right next. I mean, she's first, and then it's she comes first, and then it's his feast is the next day.
April, I seem to recall.
Oh, tell me I'm right.
I think it's May, Joanne.
Oh.
I was going to say, I recall. I have a friend who posts the saints of the day.
Okay.
And I seem to recall Augustine.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm on Catholic News Herald. Hold on, give me a second.
I'm doing this off the top of my head, folks. So.
Okay.
Saint Monica is August 27th.
Hey!
There you go.
And Augustine.
And Augustine
should be August 28th.
Wow, she died in the year 387. Ooh, that was a long time ago.
It certainly was. It certainly was.
Yes, it was. It's all that time she spent praying for his son.
Yeah, exactly. He should be the next day. On the 20th. Because I remember these feasts. For some reason.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought I had seen them.
Saint Augustine of Canterbury.
No.
Hippo. Oh, the hippo one. Hold on a minute.
Yes. Oh, gee.
Hey, listen. I told you I get giddy when I'm tired. So.
I know.
Saint Augustine. Not the hippo of Hippo.
Of Hippo. Yes.
Yes. It's August 28th.
August 28th.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I needed that earlier. Yeah, I just knew that. So you may have a feast coming up.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to call in sick that day. So.
Stop it.
No.
We're going to roll it over to you. Go ahead, Linda.
Oh, okay.
We have to make a segue somewhere here, so go ahead.
The deacon preached this weekend, and so once again I fished his notes out of the garbage. Actually, I asked him for them. I asked him for his notes, and he happily gave them to me. He also began with a joke, but which I'm not going to do here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the fried chicken joke. Yes,
the fried chicken.
Anyway, he begins. Today's gospel speaks of a storm which suddenly broke when Jesus was at sea with some of his disciples. But storms such as the one described in today's gospel were common on the Sea of Galilee. And he went on to describe the geographical attributes of the area, how the Sea of Galilee was like surrounded by mountains, and that the wind frequently blew down from these high mountain peaks, causing storms. And you can set out when the lake is like glass, and by the end of your sailing time, it's crazy stormy. So he said, without warning, the calm waters are churned into giant waves. And then he said, think about it. These are fishermen. These are experienced people on the sea, and they were scared. So it had to be a storm, a powerful storm. And then he went on to talk about he used to have a boat, and he said we would go out in the morning, and it was nice and calm. And then on one occasion, one evening, they were coming back from Prudence Island, which is a small island in our area. And passing Warwick Light, and the sea became very rough. The coffee pot sitting on the counter flew off onto the floor. The windows opened and closed, and my wife and the kids were down in the cabin praying the rosary.
There you go.
Yeah. He said it took twice the amount of time to return to the dock. And I told him, I said, at least he was able to return to the dock.
True.
Trying to maneuver the waves. It could be pretty scary, he said, and I was scared. It was evidently such a storm as this in which our Lord and his apostles found themselves on the lake. Jesus had fallen asleep in the boat. The waves were so great that they threatened to upset him, but the Lord slept on. And finally, the apostles, being overcome with fear, woke him and said, we're perishing. Jesus stood and rebuked the wind, and the sea calmed down. Then he asked them, why are you terrified? Do you not yet have faith? And then he talked about fear, that the apostles were filled with fear. And today, in our world, fear is a very widespread emotion. So many people are fearful of so many things. The poor being fearful that they will not have the means to live. The sick are afraid they will not recover. The rich are afraid they will lose their wealth. The young are afraid to grow old, and the old are afraid of dying. It goes on and on. It's sad that we, supposedly religious people, are stressed with so many different fears. Some may think that Mark's gospel is saying that we can avoid the storms of life if we just call on Jesus. But no, that's not the message. That would make God into a robot for our use whenever we felt a special need or desire. In fact, to make sure that you don't fall into that trap, the church chose a brief passage from the book of Job for the first reading as a reminder of the, quotes, bigger picture. And then he again goes on to talk about the first reading, the story of Job. Job, as he is portrayed, is a very good man, always living rightly and according to God's law. Yet, in the storms of his life, he lost everything, family, health, all his possessions, despite the fact that he was living a holy life. Now, if you know the book of Job, it's a whole backstory here, which this small snippet that they give us in the first reading doesn't give you a clue. But go read the book of Job sometime.
Yeah.
Eventually, Job's life and its blessings were restored and multiplied, but not until he stopped questioning God and simply began to trust in him, even though he did not understand why he was suffering. That sounds familiar.
Yes.
Each one of us is sailing in our own little boat of life. I love this. I kind of got this image in my head of all of us on little boats. Each one of us will meet with storms over which we have no control. They will bring the test, and we begin to question, why me, Lord? Or will we choose to trust that Jesus is present in our little boat with us, seemingly asleep, but still with us in the midst of the storm? Our whole voyage through life is a test of our faith. We say that we believe in Jesus, but when times turn tough, how do we react? And he gives some examples. When we see a friend with growing dementia, or with an addiction, or with a marriage problem, or experience loss of employment, surprise medical bills, weather disasters such as the recent floods in Texas and the terrible tragedy in South Carolina. Will we trust that Jesus is still present through it all, that he always was and still is in everybody's boat? I believe that the message of today's gospel, even in the midst of the storm, is when our little boat is being tossed about violently, peace can be experienced only if we truly trust and believe that Jesus is right there with us through it all. Peace is not the absence of turmoil. Instead, peace comes with a change of heart through our faith, recognizing the presence of Jesus in all circumstances, and that faith is a priceless gift which we can lose if we do not nourish it through meditation on God's word, prayer, and weekly mass attendance. Lord, increase our faith.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was, and I wanted to play it, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Just rebuking the apostles.
I find your lack of faith
The only thing.
Your lack of faith disturbing.
But it's true. I mean, we say we're followers, and we say that we're going to let God control our lives, yet we want to turn him into a robot.
Yeah.
Dispenser. Every time we have a problem, God fix this, God do this, God help us here, and then leave him alone until we need him again.
Right.
So
do what I want you to do.
Right.
Never mind what your plan is.
It's putting God.
Do what I want you to do.
Yeah, putting God in a box, which I always thought you can't put God in a box.
So, but that was good. That was it was a very insightful homily, I thought.
Well, both homilies this week that we've heard from are addressing things that need to be heard, need to be addressed at this time in our society. You know, fathers, men acting like fathers, the fathers they should be. The rest of us trying to understand that in the midst of storms, Jesus is there. You know, that we don't have to look too far, but trust him. He'll get us through it. I think that's why you got to hear the one from Father Barron. The minute I heard that, it made it sorry about that. Clicked something in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, yes, exactly. You know, that Jesus didn't get up for a while. If you think he wasn't feeling that storm, you know, he had to have been.
Yeah, sure.
you know, and he was just waiting and waiting and patiently and, you know, can they do it? Can they
do it? Yeah, yeah.
And then, no! Those of you who have kids probably understand that better too, when you're trying to get your child to do something and you want them to really do it, and you're hoping they're going to get over it like a thunderstorm. You're hoping they're going to stay in bed, and all of a sudden they bust through the door.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they didn't. Okay, well, that was good. I'm glad we had two, while very different but very insightful homilies.
Yeah.
Cool. Guess what? Now we're going to go on to what we were going to talk about at the beginning of the show.
All right.
I forgot already. What is it?
Somebody wake up, Stephen.
Wake up, Stephen. In the right stuff this week. Yeah, wake up. In the right stuff this week. We feel this was something that came out actually a couple of weeks ago. And because it was our bishop, we weren't addressing it purposely, because we like to stay neutral when it comes to this type of stuff. However,
it went national.
It went national big time. So we feel that we now need to address it because everybody's been reading about it all over the globe and saying things about it. And believe me, you would rather hear me today in meditative state other than Wednesday when I was frantically texting Linda.
When I got the phone call.
And then called her and said, "Are you serious?" No. You have been living under a Catholic rock, and you did not get a chance to experience this. Our bishop a couple of weeks ago wrote a editorial for our Rhode Island Catholic Weekly. And in it, he talked about the way people attend Mass, both their dress, their demeanor, and, you know, bringing in coffee and all that other happy kind of stuff. Am I doing this correctly? If this is what he said?
That's what he said.
Okay. Well, I would think that his manner of speech was a little I think the humor that he was trying to portray in this whole thing got really was everybody else's humor.
Yeah, it wasn't everybody else's humor, and some people really took offense at the tone.
They did. But here's what gets me. Okay? All of you, we all know the folks, especially in the summer, who come to Mass in about the same attire that they would go to the beach.
Yeah.
Okay, we live in a seaside. We live, what? Anybody is 30 minutes from the beach around here.
Yeah.
Okay, and they come, and these are not people who are poor and only have a certain amount of clothing, and so that's the only thing they could show up in.
Yeah.
These are people who know better, who try to squeeze in church to or from wherever they're going to go, and I have heard from many a layperson and cleric the same refrain. What's the matter with them? They can't come dressed up for church. What's the matter with them? They can't come dressed up for church. So I've heard this. Now, when this hit the fan, I'm looking at the stuff, and I'm seeing lay people and clergy saying, well, we really have to understand that they're there. We should be happy that they're there at all.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You're the same people who are complaining about these people coming into church like this and have been for 20, 25 years. So why all of a sudden are we taking a whole other tone?
Yeah.
I have found it in this, and I know this is, I know I'm doing this. I know I'm doing this.
Here I go again.
She's on the soapbox. But, hey. That was me. That's better than me playing something from gospel. God's folks, get a grip. The reason why they're still coming dressed like this is because A, we have not modeled for them the way they should be dressing. B, we don't call them to come to a higher point in life. You know, we leave them where they are because if we offend them, oh God, they'll leave.
Yeah.
And 3, if you're going to be throwing around scripture, which many people have done and said, you know, Jesus wouldn't have minded. Didn't Jesus tell the parable about the king who threw the people out of the wedding because they would not put on the wedding garb? Hello?
Yeah.
Would somebody like to stop the hypocrisy, please?
Well, here's the thing. I think sometimes people react not to the document itself, but to what other people are saying about the document. And while I happen to agree with the content of what the bishop was saying, I think his manner of expression was not everybody's cup of tea.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
We agree with that.
All right. I'm not addressing hypocrisy at all at this point, but it's a point that I made earlier before we started to record, and that is that, let's face it, in this culture, people do not want to be told what to do.
Right.
You know? Don't tell me how to dress. I'm coming to church. Don't tell me how to dress. You know?
Don't tell me how to live. And don't tell me how to,
well, that's what the church is supposed to do.
That's a good point, Linda. That's a good point.
You know?
Yes, exactly. That's the problem. Right.
I mean, I agree with what the bishop was saying 100%, and I have been modeling it for 35 years at my parish.
Same here. We were talking about that before.
Yeah, I wouldn't dream of coming to church. And part of this is my mother sitting on my shoulder going, "You're going to church like that?" Okay.
That's the other thing too. You know, they want the kids leave the house all manner of dress, and where are parents saying, "Hello, you're not wearing that. Go inside, put something else on," and you know. No, well, I can't do that to my child. I cannot squelch my child's expression. Oh, yeah, that's horse pocky.
The addendum, not the addendum, but he took the dress for Mass one step farther in that the ministers should even take this to heart even more. If you are a minister of the Eucharist, don't come to church in flip-flops and a miniskirt, you know?
And I know sometimes we have what one pastor I knew called wartime conditions, where if somebody wasn't there and you had to step out, you weren't exactly prepared for the day, but you want to pinch in and help. Okay, sometimes, but
here's what my
to go up if I'm not properly dressed either.
My pastor has sent out to all lectors and Eucharistic ministers.
I get that.
That even if you're not scheduled,
you should be.
Please come to church properly dressed in case we need you.
Yep, I know. And people just, you know, look, if you're having a Mass on retreat and everybody's in jeans, shorts, and it's the summer, and you got kids in a barn, and you're having that's. Understand, retreats, conventions, these are separate occasions where these are specific to what is occurring around.
Bless you, Stephen.
Thank you.
I didn't hear you, but I saw you sneeze.
I muted it.
Thank you for that. Stephen, weigh in on this. Don't let the women go off here. Because we are going.
As I was saying, again, what Linda was saying, I can hear my grandmother, God rest her soul. She would, from when I was younger, I would have to report for inspection call, and she'd look at me and say, or your shirt's wrinkled, or your crease in your pants isn't right, or whatever. But I also feel that as a paid person, I need to show up dressed.
Right.
And whether you're paid or not, you're a minister.
But no, I'm saying even I think it adds to the responsibility.
You're a minister. Yeah.
Right.
I
mean, I don't, I'm up in the choir loft, so, very easily I could say, well, I'll just, throw flip-flops on, whatever, but I always, dress pants, dress shirt, dress shoes, sometimes I'll wear a tie, not all the time. I blame my K through 12 Catholic education on my hatred of ties.
Oh.
I loved my education. I got a good education, but I hate ties. I hate ties. So, for weddings, things like that, I'll wear a tie. Obviously, if I'm down in the front, things like that. But I struggle with it as a choir director. I try to remind the choir to dress appropriately, and sometimes I've been more effective at that than others. But in general, I have to say, at the parish I'm at, I would say we have two ends of the spectrum. People come all gussied up, and I think probably it's the same in every parish. People come dressed to the nines, and they look very, very nice. Or you have the sports jerseys and the the flip-flops. I can't say that I've ever seen anything too risque.
Yeah,
but,
I think the sports.
I also want to weigh in and say that in 2015, most of our churches are air conditioned.
Yeah.
So it's not like during my years at St. Brendan's, Joanne, I can remember a few times the pastor that back then the church was not air conditioned.
Yes.
And it would get hot in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember Father Unsworth saying to me several times in the summertime, if you want to wear shorts or whatever, that's fine. And I think once or twice I wore like dress shorts, you know what I mean? Because it was just stifling in there. But now they have air conditioning. I would think most churches now are climate controlled for your comfort, as they say.
It depends. In our collaborative, Saints Martha and Mary is air conditioned. Sacred Heart is not, and neither is St. Rose. So we're talking the older types of churches where you have the windows that are about that big.
Yeah.
The big stained glass window. So you're opening up all these little tiny places of air around the building. And again, Sacred Heart in North Attleboro, another one, which is not.
Oh, it's dreadful. I've been there and done that. Dreadful.
And thank God there is a door that you can open to the fire escape next to the organ, because you can get some air from there if you're lucky. But yeah, so there are still pockets of that. But even in those days, I knew to dress appropriate. And if my choir was in, I wouldn't let them wear their robes on those. They wore choir robes, so I wouldn't let them wear their robes. Like, no, you're not wearing those things today. You look pretty good.
The problem I have is a multi-generation. I have a multi-generational ensemble,
right.
And so when you have to be specific with the young people. You can't just say wear your best.
Right.
Because their best might be, Powder Puff Girls. It's
exactly.
So you have to be very specific about what needs to be.
I don't know what that is, and I think I'm happy I don't know what Powder Puff Girls is.
You are.
So. It's the same.
Right.
It's the same thing with altar servers. You have to tell them.
But they wear robes.
You can't wear sneakers.
Yeah, well, they don't tell them that in my parish, and that really ticks me off.
But all of the ones that were there this weekend all had shoes. I was totally impressed. There wasn't a flip-flop in the bunch, because believe me, I've seen, especially girls, wearing the alb and the flip-flops.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I used to get upset in grad school because you'd have women serving on the altar with the earrings that would come down here. kidding me? Take those things off. There's an appropriate way.
Yeah, but see, what everybody, here's the thing, everybody doesn't have the same degree of what is appropriate.
Right.
Okay?
And, no,
like Stephen said, you have some that would come. At one point I had somebody in the ensemble that thought sequins were more than appropriate, and and that was one of the tenors. No.
Whoa.
But no, she really.
Oh boy.
I'm not going there. That goes.
Now for something completely different.
Yeah. I'm sorry. She
joke, people.
It was sequence. It was sequence, and it was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't say anything because she was covered,
exactly.
and she had her best clothes on. So. And
best clothes for a lot of people are clean jeans.
Yeah, I know. And
I've even seen it at weddings and funerals lately.
I know. I saw somebody come to a wedding once in a bright yellow tracksuit. Yeah.
Serious.
Bright yellow tracksuit. This was about 5-6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I have not seen. Stephen, did you? I think Stephen got. Okay, he's frozen again.
Stephen's frozen. Yes.
We'll let him thaw out in a minute.
Yeah.
No.
But in the long run, basically, what I have to say about the article is Stephen's back.
Okay, you're right.
I agree with everything the bishop said about dress and demeanor at Mass. What I don't agree with was sometimes he's a little. People didn't understand that he was trying to get at something humorous, and
fell flat.
Yeah, it didn't really quite work.
Stephen, you're going to jump in on that before we froze you.
Oh, I was saying I played a wedding one time where some of the guests had those what do you call those? Some of the ladies had those velour jumpsuits.
Oh, gee.
Wow. There's a
because, well, for some reason, some people think that they don't have to dress up for the church for the wedding, then they go home and they get dressed for the reception.
Right.
Funerals, I will say, I have noticed that the level of dress is going down.
Yes.
I even noticed it with the pallbearers.
Oh wow.
I mean, I've only been a pallbearer once, but I wore a suit. But it's my experience, and again, I'm not trying to pass judgment or anything, but a lot of the funerals I have seen, they don't dress up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. No one wants to pass judgment. No one wants to be inhospitable. No one wants to make people feel less than they are or not show them a proper dignity. However, in our attempt not to offend, not to, do the wrong thing.
We're not teaching either.
Not teaching. And that's where the hypocrisy for me comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. We have got to teach. We can't just complain about it because all the people who are saying we can't do this, a lot of them are sitting in the background and either have done this in the past and talked about it or still talk about it now and put on another face for show. I'm sorry. I can't live with that.
No.
I can't live with not saying something about that. Folks, I've heard, I'm not, and it's not that I saw anybody I personally knew say this, but no, we've been in these circles for a long time, and you know that this has not been a topic that just showed up now.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Raised for the past.
But, if nobody ever says anything about it,
then it will.
Nobody's ever going to learn.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody's ever going to learn. I remember the difference in dress from where I came from. Now, I came from Baltimore, which is considered a southern city.
Right.
the difference in dress when I moved up here from Baltimore, how they dressed to go to church in Baltimore, to how they dressed to go to church up here.
It's true.
It was palpable, the difference.
Wow.
I could see it right away.
What
Right
difference?
Baltimore, they dress up a lot more.
Wow.
A lot more. It's like my mother came up to visit me, and she goes, "What should I bring for church?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Well,
Yeah.
bring what you would normally want to wear to church." And then, we went. This was the first time.
Mhm.
She came up, and we went to church, and she goes, "My goodness, they're very casual around here, aren't they?"
Some of that I wonder if it's because of the socioeconomic state of New England, which has become
And then, can I
This
just
was
say something on the flip
1977.
side?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay? This was 1977.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
On the flip side of things, I feel that, as some people say that we judge the people that don't dress up enough,
Mhm.
I think the people that do come dressed are judged by the people that don't dress up.
Yeah.
There you go. And there,
And here's one more funny story, because I'm a funny guy.
Yeah.
And it's no secret that I'm I guess they call me portly. I'm husky,
Yes.
Although I am a little lighter than
weight.
Well, but still, I'm still round. I can't help it. I'm still round.
So you're in shape. Round is a shape.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, you know what? And if I fall over, I bounce. So I'm pretty good. So
Bulls wobble if they don't fall down.
But as God is my witness, I was in church one day, walking down the aisle, and Italians are known for their forthrightness, right, Linda? Yeah.
Yes.
To the point
So
you tell it like it is.
Yes. Yeah.
You can tell by Stephen and I.
Yeah. This woman, gestured to me, and I thought, oh, I'm in trouble now. So I went over to her, and she said, a few of us were talking, and I thought, oh, here we go. And she said, for a big man, you are always very well dressed.
Oh.
Oh.
And I thought, and it's a good thing I have a good sense of humor, because the first thing in my head, I didn't say it, but I thought, I said to her, well, I said I try to always look presentable, but the presumption that because I'm a big man means I'm not going to dress well, that just really gets my goat.
That's really
But that's how some people think. So.
Well, let me sort of round this thing up, because
please.
Now I have something else for this week to push it to next week, because I knew we were going to do this.
Yeah.
I grew up in a poor mill town, in a poor section of town. But the one thing my mother insisted upon was that we did not look poor.
Mm.
So while I didn't have an abundance of clothes growing up, what I had was of good quality.
Mm.
So would buy. Of course, I went to Catholic school, so uniforms took care of most of, my attire during the week. But I always had my dress clothes.
Yep.
I had my play clothes. So I grew up knowing that that if I bought whatever I buy should be of best quality, so it could last long.
Yeah.
Okay, and not be this. I've never bought trendy. I've never bought cheap. And so I buy what's good. And I was always taught, you wear this here, and this here. It's always served me well, because that's one of the things people have said. You always seem to dress for the occasion.
Yeah.
I think.
But that's a lost art now.
Well, I think it needs to come back, because you can't dress. A lot of people in one of the comment boxes was saying, if you were going to meet the president, would you dress in flip-flops? Well, guess what? We've got pictures of people meeting the president in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. We have to, again, not so much of what we want to project, but our dress should be respectful of the persons we're meeting, the places we're going, the things that we're doing.
Amen.
How many people don't get jobs because they don't know how to dress for an interview?
Yeah.
Okay? You would think you need to dress well for an interview. All right? And a lot of kids don't. Yep. They're not taught this. We're not doing anybody any favors by just letting it be and just, let it go. Not say anything.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
Not doing anybody any favors. And that's why this made such a kerfuffle.
Yeah.
I had to use the word. It made such a kerfuffle in the world, okay, when it shouldn't have. He's right to point out the problem. I didn't care for some of some
of the way he said it, but
Bishop, he was right to point it out, and I think we have to step out of our own little boxes and say, okay, how can we help others to understand this and still respect their dignity? And the best thing to do is to model what we want them to do. As musicians, we teach them the music, we model the music for them, we ask them to join us. I think the dress has to be the same way. Ministers need to dress well so that it models to the rest of the group, and hopefully parents, we can't keep blaming parents for everything, but please don't let your kids go out dressed half the way, and then again, if they don't model it either. But I think it hit a chord with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But just don't say we shouldn't care, we're glad, as long as we're glad they're there. Because that is the biggest cop-out in the history of the church.
Well, we are glad that you're here.
We're very glad.
But we would also want to let you know that what we're doing is important. And you need to dress with respect for what you're doing.
Right, and Jesus, when he met people where they were, but he always invited them to take a step up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we need to do, and we shouldn't be afraid to do it. People keep making us afraid to do it. We shouldn't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Can I get an amen on that?
And other people said amen.
So I hope I didn't alienate most of our viewers.
Now,
I think most people took issue with maybe the tone that he wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. We'll all agree. We all agree there. Okay? Yeah. But it's after that. It's the cop out that I blew up. I was seriously when all of you have said the same thing. Seriously?
Yeah.
Come on. So that really got me going, and y'all know where to push my button. So, you all know where to push my buttons now. And again, we're going to have to put off anything else until we've gone over time, as usual.
We're well aware that the Pope published an encyclical this week.
We are well aware that
we're out of time.
Right? We'll talk about the encyclical next week. And I promise you, and I promise Allison, that we'll get to my appearance on her show. Because I really want to play some of that and have you hear how much of a fool of myself I made.
You didn't.
Well, kind of, maybe.
I heard it. I didn't think you made a fool of yourself.
Yeah, but I had a little bit too much of this, And there's no way to stop it. I had a little bit too much of that. So she loves it, but
yeah,
it was
her show and she liked it. So
I know, but you can get a little crazy with it. So you're gonna have to come back next week and try to hear it again. We are also going to be, at some point this summer, going on vacation.
Yeah.
So maybe a Sunday where there is no current show. But we will try to come up with a filler so that we can have a week. I can have a week off. Let's put it this way. If you want to suggest a filler for us, we've done a wedding show. Okay. If you'd like us to do a liturgy show, a funeral show, a you can't make this up show, let us know. Please send us a message at mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. You can go to facebook.com/mondaymorningcatholic. I'll put I'll put a comment up that says, "What would you like to see in a summer show?" See if we can get anything. You put it in the comment box at MondayMorningCatholic.net. You can tweet it to us at Ritual Diva or at MMCatholic, or
Here's my number, so call me
you
later.
can leave us voice feedback, 774-955-0659. Hoping next week that Nancy is back with us.
Yay!
Should be. We should have a full house next week. Any luck, we will. And before we go, we really would like to join our prayers.
Yes.
Not only with the folks in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm still processing it.
I know.
Because
beyond horrendous.
For years as a minister, I've known that basically anytime we gather like that, we are vulnerable. Okay.
True.
It's very, very true. No one. I mean, I've since I first worked in a cathedral and in an inner city where people would just kind of come up to you and like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
In the middle of mass. So it's always been something that's been in the back of my mind, and then to hear that, I was just still processing.
Yeah.
To see them come out and not want to let evil win.
Yeah.
And be merciful. That we need a little bit more of that. People are going, wow, and I'm going, but that's what Christians do.
That's right.
Christian, you've got to follow the master, and that's what Jesus would do.
That's what he would have done. Yeah.
Bingo. And also those poor Irish students.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We've had, like I said, it's been a week of storms, and Jesus has been in the boat. And he has calmed some of them, and he has been waiting patiently for others. So please, if you've got some extra prayers this week, I think it's appropriate that we send them in those directions for the people in Charleston, South Carolina, and for the Irish students at Berkeley in California. And we thank you for being with us as usual. We appreciate your patronage here. We appreciate you coming back every week, downloading, sending us stuff, whatever. Please continue that. We know that we pray for you. We hope that you also pray for us. So for Linda Reed, Steve Romano, myself, Joanne Mercier, thank you so much for being with us. Have a good week. God bless. And as always, ciao for now.